So this is my AEW Dynamite review of the 30th January 2025 edition. This was a pretty boring Dynamite. Like I was, fighting my sleep watching this show. It felt like one of those Dynamites where like, yeah, let's just get off this because Grand Slam is this Saturday, and then we have to build up to Revolution for March 9th, and it's like just like last week was. So like on paper it was like nothing bad, but nothing really exciting. And when I was not watching AEW, that was not the thing that I was hearing. Even if the shows were bad, there will be at least one or two matches which will be like 4 stars or above, will be like great match or something. I didn't see that today. Like we started the show with Will Ospreay versus Brian Cage of the Don Callis family, and the match you could say was kind of a not a typical Will Ospreay match. There was much more selling by Will Ospreay, and also one thing, it was a little bit slow because first because I think Will Ospreay wanted to sell for Brian Cage, and second because it's Brian Cage and he was not you know very quick to get into spots. Sometimes he took like a botched Styles clash, which Will Ospreay did to win the match. Don Callis was there. Don Callis kind of interfered in the middle of the match also to beat up Ospreay a little bit. They showed backstage for footage where Omega was beaten up. When the match was over, uh, the Callis family started attacking Ospreay, and it was very weird that they did a beat up. Then the music played. Then Kenny Omega came out with a chair and he attacked everyone. But then Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher came out and they attacked Kenny. Then again, the music started playing. Then they stopped. Then they again beat them up. They hit him with pile drivers. Those pile drivers didn't look effective at all. Like this should mean much more. Like even in AEW world where they are used more liberally, even there it didn't look like it hurt that much. Then again they beat them up. Then again the music played. I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to do like, okay, they beat him up, but no, they want to finish them. Like Don Callis was saying in the commentary, like we want to finish them off before they get to Grand Slam, so that they cannot face the Kashta and Fletcher. But the beatdowns were not that, serious looking that you could see and like, oh my God, what is happening? Like when Will threw himself over Kenny, I get what they were trying to do, but the crowd didn't react, and I also didn't, because you need certain steps to get to that point where you are emotionally invested. Like it's been a week since Will and Kenny are back, and they're back for just one reason, that is a common enemy in Don Callis. And it just doesn't feel like the right moment for like Will Ospreay to throw himself over Kenny, because the beat up was not that hard. Like it was not that bad. Like, oh my God, his life is in danger or something. Like Eddie Kingston trying to protect Moxley when the ring was about to blow up was something else, because they had built up that thing that Moxley and Kingston had a past. That Moxley and King, like this was Kingston turning face. We know what happened with the explosion, but this felt weird. And the crowd, I would probably say this was the match where probably the crowd was also invested in the middle of the match also, because in other matches the crowd would like do a chant sometimes, but otherwise they will go silent like the Japanese crowds, and you will be like, what is happening? Then there will be some chance for someone, but that will be like a small portion of the crowd, and then they will also go silent for a long time. I'm like, why do you go to the shows if you just want to stay quiet? The thing is, I'm not defending AEW here. I don't even like AEW that much. But you're going to a show. So at least, if you don't like the product, do those chants. Like, we don't like this or something. Like people used to do in TNA, or people used to do in like 2019 WWE, or before Triple H took over, they did that shit. They don't even do that. They just stay silence. That takes you out of the experience of watching the show. And it just felt weird. This beatdown felt very weird to me. And okay, this is setting up a match at Grand Slam Saturday. Okay, that's fine. Then moving forward, we had Claudio versus Jeff Jarrett. This was probably the worst thing on the show. The match didn't hit, people didn't care, and the Death Riders intro. That intro sucks. I like the theme, but the thing is that intro, and then the whatever music plays then, like it's such a awful intro, especially with the crowd going silent every time they hear that. You had the match, like Jeff Jarrett got little bit of chance, but they were like from a small portion of the crowd. Like when he did the strut, there was a little bit more of the crowd, but even then it was a pretty silent crowd during the match. And like it was very slow. Like you could see Claudio had to work slow because of Jarrett, because of Jarrett's old ass. He had to work slow. Even there, like he was not, doing the moves well. And tell me this, Claudio, like squashed Darby Allin like a month ago. Claudio is a former ROH TV champion, a world champion. It took Claudio Castagnoli a failed chair shot where uh, you know, uh, Utah distracted the referee, and even then he wasn't able to hit him with the chair. Then it, the world heavyweight champion had to come out there and hit uh, a hurried paradigm shift. Then Claudio had to hit two of his finishers and then win against Jeff Jarrett of all people. Like it would have been still bad if it was just Utah interfering and is Claudio winning that way. But this makes Claudio look more shit. Like Claudio's role is he's the tough underboss, right? Then why is he the one that needs cheating to win? Like he is the guy that is like the last in line before you fight Moxley. So you should try to build him up more like you did before. Like you had him beat Darby Allin's ass for like weeks to build him up. And this happens, then you have MJF come out. I like that it was not a 10-minute promo like everyone else on Twitter, and he was just like, Jeff Jarrett, you were to, and hit him, and that was that. Before that, you also had a backstage segment when Hangman was looking for Swerve. You had kind of an interaction between Hangman and MJF, and MJF used Kevin Owens' line describing Claudio Castagnoli. I found out on Twitter like half man, half horse, and everything. That was that. And it was just like you had Ricochet versus AR Fox. I really like Ricochet. Like Ricochet, when he's doing his promos as a heel now, he looks way more confident doing those promos. Like he doesn't feel like a fish out of water. He feels like he's in the right position. He feels he's confident. His theme suits him. Yeah, he essentially says that I'm not a lunatic. I'm in my normal gear right now. I'm glad that Swerve is not going to interfere, and I'm going to give my thoughts about my match next week against him, my one of my most important matches of my career on Collision. And they're trying to make Collision a big deal, like Timeless Tony Storm is going to give her final thoughts before Grand Slam on Collision. Like Ricochet is going to give his final thoughts before Grand Slam on Collision. Like they also showed the Mariah May, the Tony Storms, she's back to being Timeless Tony Storm. They showed the whole video package from Collision. I like that they're showing stuff again. Like they did overdo the video packages because they like rewinded what happened like at the before the end match. Like they rewinded what happened like 1.5 hours before the final match happened. They did video packages for that. Like they did video packages for why the matches are happening on Collision. Like Darby Allin is defending his title against Kyle O'Reilly and Lee Moriarty. They showed what happened on Collision, that Shane Taylor attacked them, and then last week the Undisputed Kingdom won their match, so they're having that match. So I'm glad that they're trying to make Collision a big deal. They also had, before the main event match, Diana Perazzo and Taya Valkyrie. Yes, her name is Taya Valkyrie. Them doing a backstage promo. I don't I don't get. They show their backs to the camera. They're looking at like the Dynamite like TV screen. They're not looking at it, but they're facing it. They're looking at each other and talking. Then they turn back. They say, I'm going to face Harley Cameron. We are the ones that are that you belong to the Vendetta and all, and I'm going to show you on Saturday. It's very funny, as someone said on Twitter, that like Tony saw reports of Diana being unhappy, so he booked her to lose to Harley Cameron, to lose to Harley Cameron, so that Harley can get over. Maybe they're setting up a Mercedes Monet versus Harley at Australia, because Harley is actually from Australia. So you can have a Mercedes versus Harley for the TBS Championship at Grand Slam, and then you can have a Mercedes versus Diana or Taya Valkyrie at Revolution. I mean, that looks like the plan that is happening. Let's see what happens. You also had, I think the best thing on the show was probably Mariah May's promo. Like, she's such a good promo. Her expressions, the way she glared at the camera, the things that she said, that when I am so good, I don't need to be another copy. Like she built up. The thing is, if she was just a better wrestler in the ring, and if they booked her well, but they didn't, and now her title reign is ending on Sunday. So we'll see what out Saturday, whatever. So it is happening. And then you had the Ricochet versus AR Fox. It was a fine match. I couldn't get into it because the crowd was so dead. Of course, this was the match that they're probably most into after the Will and Brian Cage match. That there were "This is awesome" chants. Like AR Fox really showed out. Like some of the moves he did, I can't really even like name them. Ricochet won the match. Then you had Swerve come out. Like this was the loudest they were for a person. Like whose house? Swerve's house. Like they were loudest for Swerve in person. And Swerve took Ricochet out, but Ricochet then grabbed. He put Ricochet inside the ring. He was going for a splash, but Ricochet grabbed AR Fox. I was like in kayfabe, is Swerve a little bit stupid? Why would you put like Ricochet right next to AR Fox in the ring? You could have put him in another corner. But then Ricochet grabs AR Fox with scissors and was like, "I'll stab him in the neck if you do that." And then he just walked away. And I like really Swerve's expression, because he is like, "Man, I'm done with this shit. Like I'm done with Ricochet. Like the mind games that I also like the way that the commentary explained it, that Ricochet's mind games is affecting Swerve now. Like it is affecting Swerve, and you can see it in Swerve's acting also, that it is affecting him. And also then Diana Perazzo and Taya Valkyrie, after the promo, they just go back to showing their backs to the camera and then looking at each other, then whispering something. I don't get it. You had a Hurt Syndicate backstage promo as well, and they were like, they acknowledged Private Party as good AEW Tag Team Champions, which they were not, and they said, "But you went against us, and we are here for all up and coming challenges." So, and they also had the Guns video package, like they're coming at it. Was kind of like Guns reminiscing about, they were tag team champions once, and they're like working hard to get back there in the gym and all. It was kind of like an inspirational thing, like they're coming back as baby faces, of course. So now the tag division can be pretty good for Hurt Business, because you have the Hounds of Justice, you have the Guns, and you have Private Party also. What is the another team that they have? I don't know, but you have these two teams that they can feud with. Like These are top level teams that they can feud with. Then also you had other things on the show. You had Chris Jericho's New York Minute, where they are essentially teasing that like there is tension between Big Bill and Chris Jericho. Like Chris Jericho took all credit, and he was like, you didn't finish the job and all. And Powerhouse Hobbs was also like, you didn't take me out, and I will get you when I'm cleared one day. And he also got a pop too. But man, the crowd being out of this show, like it really killed this show. Like you just couldn't get interested even in good matches because people just didn't care about it. And also one thing is that there is a power imbalance. The TBS championship does feel more important than the women's championship. It feels like Mariah May is holding the mid card belt and Mercedes Moné is holding the women's world championship. It does feel like that. You also had Wheeler Utah versus Jay White, which one of the most useless matches I would say. Like this was a 50-50 match. First of all, Wheeler Utah, what is your look? I get that you have a body now, but you have this, weird Asian anime grumpy, like that beard is horrendous. Like get a look which suits your character. Like you trying to be a full on heel, like it's just laughable. Like I don't get one thing. Like first when he turned on Brian, it was like he's fully healed. Then next week they had him like have doubts. Then next week they had Claudio telling him to shut up. And then they still are subtly telling that they don't care about Wheeler Yuta, like because uh, the Death Riders helped Claudio to win his match. They didn't help Wheeler Yuta to win his match. So obviously they're going to have Wheeler Yuta turn eventually whenever Darby Allin comes back. But storyline wise, you have not told that story. So it doesn't make sense. So in this match, it was a very 50-50 match. Like, who cared? And this went for so long. Like there were chants of fuck you Utah, fuck you Wheeler, and but this was such a like in the end like Jay White won with like two surprise moves and end with a Blade Runner and he won the match. Barely he won the match. Then the Death Riders came out, they attacked him, and then another big pop, which was the rated FTR came out. Edge and oh no, Cope. His name is Cope. His name is literally Cope with FTR, and the FTR was like, I am not opposed to your way of thinking. I am opposed to your ways, and we are going to face in insert your city name, street fight. And it was announced that on Saturday it will be Moxley and Wheeler Yuta versus FTR in a insert your city name street fight. And first they're making the collision a big deal because you're having Moxley, your world champion, there in a tag team street fight. So they're trying to make this a big deal. It isn't because it will be going up against the Rumble. They're going to get crushed, but they're trying to make Collision a big deal. Like they're doing video packages kind of promoting Collision, also explaining things, why are certain things happening, and putting certain stars on there also. Then you also had like so like is the John Moxley Jay White match happening at Grand Slam? Because otherwise I don't get why is Jay White in the Death Riders vortex again. You had some like backstage promos, like the promo that they recorded, the interview that they recorded with Rene Paquette. They had some snippets of it on the AEW television program, and I like that. But it it doesn't move me because after what I saw you had to do against Jeff Jarrett of all people, I don't take you seriously. I don't take you seriously at all. And such weird show, like boring, like not liking this at all. Like this is not Dynamite. Even Dynamite when it was bad, I used to hear on Twitter every time like you had like a Will Ospreay versus Darby Allin, like a 5-star match. Like you'll have those things, but we didn't get those things even here. And then you had the main event, which they took a lot of while to get into. Like when the bell rung, there were like 10 minutes from the show left. Like when the Moxley Utah match ended, or when it was like it will be time for the main event, there were like 16 minutes left or something. Then ads came, then promos, vignettes, everything came, and then they did their entrances to absolute crickets. Like the only reason Yuka got a match against Mercedes because Sumi Sakai was, crying on Twitter that why is Yuka not getting chances, and she got it from Collision. Then they also showed a package of that, like Yuka won a match on Collision and she got a shot against Mercedes Monet. Like and this match structure was very like awful. Like why were they wrestling like they had like 20 minutes for the match? You had 10 minutes, like you got 5 minutes overtime. You had a 15-minute match for like where 10-12 minutes were very slow. Like as people mentioned on Twitter, like whenever it felt like they were going to go a little bit hard, they went slow after that. People didn't care. Like also like the crowd was also a bit weird when they announced Mercedes Monet as from Boston, Massachusetts. They booed her, and then just like a second or two later they started chanting CEO. I don't get it. Like a heatless match which went nowhere, and in the end, she won with a bank statement or whatever she calls her move. So she won the match, and that was that. Like what? What was the show? Boring ass show. Like they should hope that Grand Slam gets people back, but Grand Slam is happening like in America like 2:30 a.m. or something. They should hope that Revolution is the thing that turns people again. But their pay-per-views have always been good. I don't think I don't know what happens with them because NXT just did 827,000 viewers, and that you can say is mainly because the thing is Rock came on NXT. You had a lot of new people, just watching, so that because The Rock was there, and many of them decided to stay back because they were like, maybe they liked because NXT is catering to a young audience, and also that Raw is now off TV. So many of the people who like don't have Netflix, or maybe they wanted a new wrestling fix on USA on CW, they went for NXT, and NXT's ratings have been increasing every week. I don't know how they catch up to that. They're clearly not the hottest product in the house. Like this has been the worst show in the week for me. And overall, I felt that NXT was the better show. Like the match structure of matches on NXT, like every match felt it was different. It had a different story. Here, it didn't feel like, except for like the Will Osprey match, and to a certain extent, the Swerve versus AR Fox. Not, you could say every match was kind of structured the same way. I don't get how they catch up to that. Some things need to change. And Moxley saying like, just join us for the ride. You are not the Rock, Moxley. So that was my review. If you like this type of content, like this video, share and subscribe. If you don't, share it with those who do. My social media links are in the description. Go follow me on that. My UPI ID link is in the description. Sharpa either at OKICICI. If you want to donate any amount that you feel, so it can help me into making YouTube a permanent career option. So that was it for me today. So thank you. Goodbye. Alvida.